If you're looking for 10 to 100x gains in crypto as Bitcoin is approaching $100,000, I believe the easiest way to do this is with runes. These are pretty much the memes of Bitcoin. And in this video, I'm gonna show you all the runes that I own, or at least most, because I own a shit ton of them. I'm gonna show you, if you're a complete beginner, which one you should choose, why you should choose them, and also I'm gonna do some picks. They're a little bit wilder ones and are, I think, potential 100x's. So let's jump right into it. First of all, what you need to do is obviously go to Magic Eden, because this is the #1 marketplace for runes. And you click on the runes and you can see here all the runes that are trading with their volume and so on. However, before you ape into anything that's in the top 2 or 3 or 5, I would strongly suggest to compare for separate time frames which are the top runes, because sometimes there are newer runes that just pop up out of nowhere and they're pretty much pump and dumps. And if you go on the 7-day volume, and then of course on the 30-day, you'll be able to see which are and have been the best performing runes when it comes to volume, and this will narrow down significantly the way you can buy and trade the runes, because you don't need to be playing too smart here. This space is tiny compared to any other meme coin space. Just for reference, one single Solana meme coin is pushing more volume in a day compared to all the runes space in a week. So the numbers are here to support us. You know, we're very early still, although some of these have moved and some of the top coins have significant market caps. But in general, this space has so many catalysts coming potentially. For example, Magic Eden is working on a swap, which actually, as of today, it wasn't active yesterday. But now that I open it, you can see that the swap function on Magic Eden is already here, at least working. I haven't tested it yet. But I will for sure. So they're working on this function that will allow us to, similar to Uniswap, experience to just swap between runes and tokens, in this case Bitcoin. And if this happens, and if we have like liquidity pools and anything like this, I think it will help immensely the runes marketplace in general, and the volumes and everything. But this is just one catalyst. There are a few others, like the potential for one of these to get listed on a major exchange is significant. Specifically, Go to the Moon and Pops World Peace, I think are the front runners. And then, of course, if you start seeing some volume as Bitcoin is at $100,000, just crazy to think about this. If we see people moving to risk assets, I think these are, you know, the no-brainer plays. These are the ones where people will be like, okay, let me just move some Bitcoin into some of these shitcoins and potentially, you know, make or lose a little bit more money. So which are my picks, and more importantly, where you should look for entries and how would you enter if you're completely new, or maybe you have some backs but not from all of them. Obviously, the first place to look is Go to the Moon. I do have a back of it. It's at almost 800 million market cap. It does definitely have a potential of 3-4x. If you remember Ordi, the first BRC token, when it got listed to Binance, it really had a big push. So I wouldn't be surprised for this to have some multiples going for it. But if you're completely new, I'm not sure how this will be the first thing to put my money into. Although, you know, it's a relatively safe bet. And let's go to Genie data. By the way, you can use this for charting. It's extremely good in my opinion. And if we scroll again for the volume, you'll see that Go to the Moon is first. But if we see the chart here, it's quite an interesting chart and very clean actually. So if you decide to trade this, so anything in this area, this has been very strong support, like around 4 sats. But also this around 10 sats has been very clean resistance. So let's say Bitcoin decides to dump because we're at a key level and maybe we have a correction because we haven't had one. You know, and goes to the moon, goes around 5 sats. I think this is a relatively good buy with a very good risk to reward here, because if it falls below 3, you can cut the trade, but then the potential for this to 5-6x from here I think is significant, even to the previous all-time high. If you get at 5 sats, this is like 2 or 3x. So very, very good entry. But of course, we might not have this entry because obviously the market is ripping and we don't know what will happen with Bitcoin. Maybe even if Bitcoin has a correction, altcoins will start actually moving in the upper direction. So what another thing that I'll be looking for is this potential breakout here around 10 sats. I think this is also confirmation that the trend is starting to accelerate, because you can see, and you'll see this across many charts. We had accumulation here, then we had a first push, a big deep correction here, and now we're back at this level. So this market definitely has legs, and you can see that it hasn't been extended. This is the crucial thing. This entire thing could be considered an accumulation still. So we're still very, very early. So this is go to the moon. My absolute favorite, actually, if you put a gun to my head and ask me, pick just one rune and put the money in there, I would be putting it into pups for many different reasons. One of them is obviously the chart. This is looking stronger than DOC in my opinion, and it's at a lower market cap. It's like 300 mil right now. It had a nice accumulation first push. We tested this level around 150 sats, and now we had another higher high and another higher low forming potentially here. So anything in this area, even right now, I would say, as we're testing this level around 300 sats, I would say it's a good entry for pups. I do have a back from lower, so I started scaling somewhere in the 150, but definitely this, I believe, is a primary leader in the space for potentially getting listed, because what happened, this was a BRC20 token, and they had to migrate into the rune, and 10% of the people didn't migrate. So 10% of the supply is now in the hands of the founder, who is Farmer Joe, and very, very respected person in the space and extremely smart guy. What he's planning to do with the money is to use it for listings. And when we say tier 1 listings, also very, very important to say, when you see somebody saying we want a centralized exchange tier 1 to list us, people pretty much mean Binance. Because if a rune gets listed on let's say KuCoin or Kraken, I don't think we'll get that much excitement. But if we get on Binance or potentially Coinbase, this is where people get really excited and price really accelerates to the upside. So this is what we're looking for this token. And also keep in mind that PUPS is pretty much the meme coin of the biggest meme on the JPEG side on Ordinals, and that's the Bitcoin Puppets. It's a huge community, very strong, and the strong holders of the space. There are a lot of PFPs you will see. So definitely a very good bet in my opinion. And I will be buying more pups in this area. I do want to make this the biggest position in my portfolio, and it's still not. So I'll definitely be buying a little bit more pups somewhere in this area. The next one that I think is quite interesting is $1 Billion Cat. Again, this was born in the bear market pretty much. You could see this. It's been a while, when it launched. This was in June. Had a really nice push, then slow kiss of death here, you can see. Now it just out of nowhere, didn't even accumulate. It pumped back up significantly, and now it's accumulating higher. And I love this price action here on $1 Billion Cat. The memes also extremely good. The people love the project, the glasses, the Bitcoin glasses that they're using. Everyone's familiar with this one. Definitely a leader in the space, in my opinion. And if you want an entry, you could wait for a breakout here somewhere around 160. But DCAing into this area, I think it's not a terrible idea. If we get a blessing and price fell somewhere around here, around 100 sats mark, I think this is a pretty good support. So you could be patient, or you could just DCA somewhere in this area. I've been DCAing. I've had some buys around 70. So in this area right here, had some buys around 120, and I'll be looking to buy a little bit more, even if we dip a little bit bigger, or if we have a breakout. I think this is also a pretty good bet, and very good chance for this meme, $1 Billion Cat, to become a reality. 140 mil right now in market cap, so almost like 8 to 10x in the back if we get to $1 billion. But trust me, I will not be holding until $1 billion. I'll probably be selling a bunch of my back before that. I'll be front running definitely that price level. Another relatively good bet that I also quite like is Gizmo. I know it has a great community. This is pretty much the pet of the Puppets guy. He mentioned it, somebody edged it, genius decision, because it just pumped like crazy, this thing. But it's here to stay, as you can see. It's at 40 million already, 47 million market cap, but price action is very strong. No dips, very good volume constantly, pretty much every single day. And I just really like also the price action, very clean. I would say this level around here is also good. I actually bought some Gizmo yesterday, and I'll be looking to DCA a little bit more. But this is already a significant back because I minted some, and I just like the meme. But anything around this area, yes, it could technically dip if Bitcoin dips harder. Maybe you get a 25 sats entry, and that's I understand. You know, this is quite far from here. It's like 60% risk. So keep in mind that all of these are memes. Don't expect anything special. You know, obviously I'm not a financial advisor, but anything we discuss here is highly speculative. And also, I am assuming 100% risk on every single token that I buy here, even like those bigger ones. So just keep this in mind, you know, when you decide to ape and how much you decide to ape. This is, you know, up to you. But I do believe that a level around 50 sats here, you can see the strong buying power. It got to 40 sats and people just gobble it up real quick. And now we're back at 50. So this is technically, if we go on the lower time frames here, this is a reclaim of a range. So we got below 50. It looked like it's breaking down. Then people just bought back into it, and now we're reclaiming 50 and confirming it again as support. So this is very bullish in general. But again, if Bitcoin has a nice little dump, maybe this gets much lower. Let's see what else. RSIC, I do have a bag of RSIC. There are a lot of people that are holding it, and you'll notice that this has a lot of volume. However, the price action sucks. And if I didn't have any rooms, this wouldn't be the first one that I would be buying. However, me and many other people are stuck in it because we've been holding and didn't sell. But I've noticed also something like one of those major old runes that reaches such kind of crucial level of support. Like this is the last hope for RSIC pretty much. This is the last level of support on the chart. Usually it bounces. Like I showed you Dog Go to the Moon. It had a strong bounce. There are a few other charts like Wanko Manko. We could look into it a little bit later, but pretty much all the runes that get to such kind of level, they bounce. So I'm interested in it. I added a bit to my bag just to lower my cost average, but I will definitely not be buying this because it's a wild card. They have not been communicating. The founders of this project are already filthy rich, so they don't really have that much incentives to pump it. I hope they do, honestly, because it will be stupid not to do it. They will pretty much leave money on the table. And also there are a lot of speculations about different other runes that they're related to, or maybe they're not. We'll see. It will be interesting. Maybe they're not that stupid, and they just gonna start doing something with it, and the price will reflect that. We'll see. Maybe they're working on an exchange listing. We'll see. Out of the majors, there's one new that it's popping, and it's in the AI narrative. It's Cypher Genesis. So I think as a higher speculation play, this is also quite good. As you can see, it had a massive run to like 50 sats. It got insane at some point, but this is it was the only AI related rune. So anything in this area, I would say around 20 sats, if we get there, or another option if we don't get there, but if price reaccumulates here a little bit higher, similar to $1 billion cat, I think this is a strong buy, because the AI narrative, in my opinion, will run at some point again, because obviously it ran, and this is in the front. It's the leader pretty much in the rune space for this to go. And again, as you can see, the volume metric is still pretty high. So just watch for this, buy any potential dips. Even here for a DCA point, I don't think it's terrible. I might even buy some now that I'm looking at the chart. And it looks like this. So after a few red days, but again, leave some space because this could dump a little bit more. Or if you don't like the risk here, maybe wait for a breakout and for the runes market to start getting hot again. It's up to you. Another one that I'm having and I'm DCing into is internet panda. This is an old meme. I was watching this for months and months, and it was accumulating real nice, and I was like, okay, this is not a big meme. We were still in the bear market of for the runes, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not gonna risk it. However, the chart doesn't lie, and you can see what happened after that. Now it seems like it's trying to hold this level around here. So my positioning here, it's not that big, but it's like a wild card, because again, this is in the top 10, 20 for volume consistently. It's a good meme. It's a positive meme, not like Psycho Hamster, which we're gonna look again in a bit. But you can see here that it's looking a little bit weaker compared to the others. So I'm not going crazy in size, but I do want to have some exposure and see if my thesis is right, and this will also catch some fire. Another one that's Memento Mori. This was launched by Casey. This is a difficult one because people made so much money from the airdrop, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of backholders. So I'm not excited to buy this one, but chart-wise, it's just screaming right now bullish. Nice, clean accumulation. Didn't have much of a dump. Now it showed some strength. Higher high here, potentially higher low here, around 200 sats. Very good chart. I do have a little bit, but definitely I'm just not gonna ape into it. Let's put it this way. But if you want to have too many tokens like I do, maybe go for it. But keep in mind it's a 20 mil, and I think there are better risk to rewards. Like for example, Waddle. Waddle is one of my major backs. This is run by the Cold-Blooded Chiller. It looks choppy, but I do think at 11 million this has potential. The risk here is that we don't know what CBS has in place. And yes, they're doing like sites, they changed the visuals and so on, but what else are you gonna do with a meme? Like, you need just a cult community behind you. So I'm not sure if he can pull that off. He's a good trader, but it's like, this is meme land, so there are different variables. I do believe he's gonna pull out a good back of something, and the volume has been consistent. So the chart looks a little bit messy, but it's showing some strength. So after a big correction, now again heading in the right direction. I think this one is difficult to trade. So unless you're ready to buy much higher, like around 20 sats, I think a DCA strategy here could be good, because this could still dip back to like 6 sats. I wouldn't be surprised at all, but you know, it's just messy around here. In my opinion, harder to trade. So I would be DCAing if I get again at 6 sats. But if we don't, I'll just probably stick to my back unless we see some major catalyst for Wado. One newer one that it's popping up and it's consistent in volume is Bitcoin Bro Bear. I don't have this. I didn't even have a chance to enter on the chart. Just look at this. It's been really strong. 10 million, so still relatively low. I think it could do well in the future, but again, I want to see some accumulation. After such a big run up, I don't want to see token going even more parabolic from here, because it's really difficult to trade, and it's becoming like a pump and dump. I want to see a little bit price action on the side, something like Gizmo that, you know, reaccumulates higher and then maybe gives us an entry. That would be ideal. But another one to put on the radar in the like lower to mid caps. I mentioned Psycho. Here it is. Here also on the volume side, you could see it. Maintain lower volume than the rest, but again, very clean pattern. It's reaccumulating. I personally don't like Psycho, so it's just a bias. It's more of a violent meme, but people like it. People like it at the same range, you know, of 10 million market cap. It's been testing the lows here, similar to internet-based Panda. But yeah, the Panda is my choice. But I think Psycho is also not at a terrible place to DCA. But keep in mind that, you know, this had a massive run. This made a 10x in a few days. So now it's reaccumulating, and it could dip much more. Like for example, what happened here? It accumulated. It had a big push again. It accumulated for quite a while, and then it just fizzled down until it had another push. So I would be patient with this. Maybe wait for strength here, because it doesn't look that strong, this chart, and potentially pay more for a breakout, but then you get a bit more confirmation, because this is again a very low cap token. Another one I wanted to show you, and it's a different alternative to big collections, because for example, if you go to the collection site on Ordinals, You can see like the leaders are Node Monks, Puppets, or No Maxibis. These are big collections that cost a lot of money, dollar-wise, and in Bitcoin. So if you don't have the money to buy a puppet, let's say, and even if you do, it's hard to have just one puppet and trade around it, because like, where do you want to sell? You cannot scale out, it's just one. The alternative is to buy tokens. So for example, Pups or Gizmo on the Puppet Play, but also Coda, for example. This is Node Monks Play, and it does look like it's accumulating. I do have a small back because I don't want to own Node Monks, but you could see this chart, preparing. But you could first wait for Node Monks to start training and maybe this to break out if you really like Node Monks, or if you see a narrative on Twitter or something developing, and then trade this, because something similar happened to based angels. And the rune had, let me just show you, the rune had a massive pump compared to the collection, much stronger. It made like a 10x and the collection did like 3 or 4x. You could see this. So it accumulated, and when the collection started pumping, the rune just flew, and now it's even consolidating higher. So again, another way to play the collection side if you don't want to spend like 2 or 3k for just one JPEG on this collection. And there are a few wild cards that I also wanted to show you. There are some older tokens as well. Let me just go over them, and then we're gonna talk about the smaller shit coins that I'm looking into. So Satoshi is one of the oldest one. He has a 20% pre-mine. People are speculating still what he's gonna do with it. Chart looks like shit, but again, if you take the simple rule I mentioned, that this is the low, we reclaimed it, so maybe this starts trending in the right direction, and maybe the guy behind this is not a complete idiot and he will start actually doing something and talking about it, and this will be more than enough because he has one of the best tickers and it's an early rune. It's like number 6. I do have a back. Plenty of people mint it and have a huge back, but yeah, just keep in mind that it's a while. It wouldn't be my first choice, honestly, because of the history, but this could be a good play if it gets the narrative, if the guy starts tweeting about it, if something happens, and it could fly like from today to tomorrow. It could do like a few X's real quick. So just be prepared for this one. But again, in my opinion, it's not my first choice as a rune. Another one that I wanted to mention, we discussed, was Wanko Manko. This is losing a bit of steam, but now they're starting to rebrand it like with an AI agent thing. It's an interesting token. I do have a significant back. It's trending in the right direction right now, but as you can see, again, it touched the bottom, very similar pattern, and then it started going up again. So I wouldn't suggest honestly buying it right here, but wait for a little bit more price action. They're better looking charts because look at this. Again, the price history here, it's in the red. All those people, including me, are in the red still. But one to watch for a narrative, maybe an AI related narrative that could play. And also I wanted to show you, most importantly, this pattern that we touched the bottom, and it's probably the best risk to reward, because if it continues trending downwards, you can obviously just cut it, if of course the rune has volume. But there are similar patterns on all the older runes and major runes that are touching their bottom, so maybe they will start trending in the right direction. So besides Coda, when it comes to collections, Puka is the OMB related rune. So this one looks bad in my opinion. I'm not touching this. I do have a few OMBs, but I'm not touching this rune. But just another way to approach. This could turn very quickly and start trending in the right direction. My wilder picks are Uzi. I do have a bag of this. I just really like the chart. My cost average is maybe around this price, maybe a little bit lower, but just really nice clean accumulation. This gives me internet-based Panda vibes before it pumped, so in the early days. And if this starts trending, this is at $1 million market cap, $1.5 million. So you could see the potential here. This could go to 10 million very easy if the meme, is strong and people are, interested in it and get some traction. But the price action is looking good. I'm not putting crazy money, but these are YOLO money that you put into these that potentially could make a big returns. Another one that I'm big on, this is an old rune. It's currently at 3 million, so quite cheap. in my opinion, is Mr. Yen, the Japanese businessman. A little bit messy, but it seems like the entire market right now, it's trending, it's starting to trend in the right direction. So around 100 sats has been good support here. And this one is, again, one of those like wild cards. You don't need to like go deep into these. Like just stick to the first 5 that we discussed, or even 2 or 3 that we discussed, and you'll be good. You'll cover the meat of the move. But I know like most people are degens and they just want to buy everything or just want to see 100x potential. Well, I think these are a few of the tokens that could do well. Another one that's popping on my radar recently is fried chicken. Where is it? Gently Fried Chicken. There it is. This one also looking strong, but it hasn't really gone that parabolic. So it launched very relatively soon in November. It's got $1 million market cap, and you can see that, if you gotta go down to the hourly, you could see that this is starting to trend nicely with nice little correction here. So maybe if it stabilizes somewhere around here, I'll be buying a bit more. I do have a bit at 1 point something. I bought a little bit. This is low volume, so just keep this in mind. It does have volume, but not like the others, so it could be hard to get in and out of it. But definitely one that's on my list of YOLO shots. And another one is Ribbit. I thought this was dead, but then it just resurrected in a couple of days. And this is what could usually happen to runes. Just a perfect example. But if this thing holds somewhere around here, or maybe around the 0.01 mark, and starts trending again, it's at $1 million and a bit market cap. So again, this is in the Ribbit / Bitcoin Frog / Pepe meme, because it's a frog. So it could have some legs. So I would definitely keep it on watch. I don't have any of it, by the way. And I think that's pretty much it. Everything actually that you see here on the list, I'm not going to go over them, but I have a bit of them, or I was thinking to buy some, but most of these I have some. And I'm just, full of runes that probably will go to zero. But I believe most of the major ones we discussed are going to do extremely well. And I definitely recommend, if you want to have exposure but you don't have time to go through the trenches with Solana or even with runes, just stick to the major ones, and I think you'll do extremely well. That's everything for this video. If you have any questions, you know how to find me.